Okay, this chapter is about client and application security. Okay, so it talks about clients. So securing the client involves using hardware system security. How many people, we buy a PC, we buy a computer, we buy a laptop, we buy whatever. Do we actually put much time into thinking about security? I would say people don't, okay? At least I don't. I mean, we take into account that if you buy a Dell, it's going to be made correctly and it'll hopefully work correctly. But, you know, security is something we just don't normally think about, okay? And we're going to actually talk more about each one of these, about securing the operating system and protecting your peripherals. So let's get into each one of these. Okay. The client hardware, they talk about secure booting tools, which is something somewhat new, okay? And we're going to talk about the root of trust and the electronic spying. But secure booting, they talk about the BIOS, and now a new setup in the BIOS, UEFI, allows it. Basically, it's a version of firmware which checks to make sure the system has not been tampered with. So, kind of a cool option. Hasn't protected. I have not seen a system yet that did not boot. So in other words, all my systems are fine. They haven't been tampered with. But it'd be kind of, you know, I don't know. I'd like to see. Has anyone seen one yet where it would not boot due to the system being compromised? Anybody? I've never seen one. So okay. So so it's something new. So it uses signature-based, very similar to the Microsoft File System Integrity Checker. I think that's what it's called. Hold on, let's see. File Integrity Checker, right here. Same thing as, you know, very similar to the File System Integrity Checker, where it checks the DLLs and to see if they've been edited, you know, which is kind of a cool thing to have. And if it finds they're messed up, like it says on the last bullet there, it doesn't boot. Here's a picture of it. It really doesn't show much, but it's checking everything along the way in the boot process. So, chain of trust, it says each element relies on the confirmation from the prior element. So if one doesn't work, you know, it has to go all the way through for it to work correctly, okay? And also checks and see if it's been rooted. There are some malware out there, viruses that actually will root your machine that cause issues, okay? Now, electronic spying, Tempest is a big deal. When I was in the military, back when we had CRTs, I'm assuming some of you know what a CRT is. CRTs, first of all, they had burn-in, but they also had it where they would produce an electronic signal which you could see up to a mile away. And there was actually a guy at OSU IT who made a program that when you ran the screensaver on your machine, it would actually play music just by the emanations from the screen. Now, back when we were CNSS certified, that program is now gone, the government, you know, changed the CNSS certifications, and one of the things they did is they got rid of Tempest. Tempest, like it says, terminal emulation here, is such a small field right now. There's about 100 people in the entire nation that mess with Tempest. So it's really not that big a deal anymore, especially with our LCDs. There's really not, you know, or LED machines, there's really not much to worry about anymore in that area. Now, I added this slide here. Someone sent me this article, which is kind of cool. It talks about researchers turning hard drives into covert listening devices. They talk about what's the PES is, what's the name? Hold on, it's in here somewhere. The positional error signal. Basically it's on the hard drive to make sure it's lined up correctly. Well, they found out a way to actually use that to record sounds. And they get down here where they talk about they were actually able to record music to the point where Shazam even recognizes it at the real sound, as a real song. So what now makes me wonder, so now what if someone was to tamper with a hard drive and sell it on eBay? Would you buy one? You know, so it's just a crazy thing that people, I would never even thought of doing something like that. But yeah, that's something brand new. So there's a link to it. Go read that article. It's pretty short, but it's very interesting. Okay. Now, supply chains. Give me an example of an issue here. Dr. Shoin came and spoke a while ago, and he was talking about supply chain issues. They were talking about specifically ATMs. There was I think, half a dozen or so ATMs that were tampered with, but you know how people can go up and put a skimmer on our ATMs or on our red box or on our gas pumps. Well, these were actually tampered with in the supply chain. So inside the actual ATM itself, inside the device, had a skimmer built. So you looking at it would never know the difference. So it's scary stuff. You know, it says, you know, where is most of our stuff built? I'm pretty much sure, you know, everything is made in China nowadays. I was actually in, I think it was Kohl's quite a while ago, but my wife was shopping, which you can tell I love shopping, but she was shopping, so I happened to walk around and look at a bunch of clothes. Every single piece of clothes was made China, Indonesia, Malaysia, even the U.S. Jean Company. Let's see where the U.S. Jean Company is from, see if they're still there. The U.S. Jean Company is not in the United States. Okay, U.S. Literally, the name was the U.S. Jean Company. U.S. Jean Company. Oh, there it is. Alibaba. Where the heck is Alibaba? Okay, but that's definitely not the U.S. and it's called the U.S. Jean Company. I just thought that was crazy that we have companies even saying they're U.S. jeans, but they're not made in the United States. So the third bullet, supply chains infections are considered dangerous. If something is implanted along the way. How many, you know, I'm assuming some of you have been to security conferences, okay? Like Innotech and stuff like that. We get flash drives, we get all kinds of stuff from people. Are any of them tampered with? We don't know. Have we checked them? Not sure. And I bet if I was to leave flash drives laying around the school here, people would pick them up and use them, okay? I put a link up here about blockchain. For some reason, what? There it goes. I actually put a section into the crypto class covering blockchain now. But the question is, you know, this book doesn't even mention blockchain. Blockchain is a way of verifying the, you know, credibility of something. You know, can you, you know, and a big area like it says here, supply chain management, supply chain security. So, you know, that's a good article to read as well. So blockchain might be a way to fix our issues. And there was actually an article I read, Qdoba. Remember how Qdoba had their E. coli breach or whatever it was 2 years ago, I guess now? The guy was speaking about blockchains, and he says, the problem with the Qdoba was they didn't know where all the stuff came from. There was a, you know, like something came from Australia. Australia is a very large continent. It is a continent, yeah. So his point was, if you had blockchain, you could actually know where everything came from. So, you know, when you take the crypto class, you learn more about it, but it gives us so much more capabilities than we have now. So blockchain, kind of cool. It's growing big time because, you know, we heard about Bitcoin, we heard about Ethereum, that kind of stuff. And I actually own blockchain. I own some Bitcoin. Hold on, I'll tell you how much I own. Let me find it here real quick. I'm going to tell you, where's it at? Here we go. Here's I have the Cash App. You can buy Bitcoin from the Cash App, okay? Okay, I own 39 cents worth of blockchain. I bought $1 worth. Now it's worth 39 cents. So I'm losing my money here. That sucks. But, you know, blockchain's a big deal. Okay.
Did you hear about JP Morgan making their own line of Bitcoin now?
Oh, they are. I didn't hear that. Yeah. So Rodney was mentioned how JP Morgan is making their own line of Bitcoin. So, I mean, it's an awesome idea to do. And it takes some of the control away from banks, but it's just amazing. So, all right. So, OS configuration. Here, you know, I was reading through this today. Disabling unnecessary ports and services. So I know a lot of you have jobs, okay? At Road State, we do not block any ports. But trust me, at Tinker Air Force Base, everything is blocked, okay? How about disabling default accounts and passwords? Has that been done? I don't know. Okay. You know, what does Rose do? I don't know. Do organizations do it? Probably not. Okay. It says employing least functionality. Give people what they need to do their job, but they really don't need much more beyond that. Okay. It says application whitelisting and blacklisting. Let me explain what that is. That is where you say, for instance, Zoom is a whitelisted app. It will run no problem. But if it's not whitelisted, it has to be analyzed before it can run. I know at Tinker, they analyze everything before it can run. And blacklisting means it's a bad thing. If it's listed on the blacklist, it's just not going to work at all. Okay, so instead of recreating the same security configuration on each computer, tools can be used to automate the process, kind of like SMS. I'm having an issue with my desktop here at Rose State. It keeps asking me for a password for my email, to the point where it even locks me out sometimes. I don't know why. And today they were, they got into my machine remotely trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And they found out that my Carbonite, my backup service, was trying to log in with the incorrect password. So I can fix that. But actually, I disabled Carbonite and I'm still getting the error. But it turns out it's not just me. There was 2 other people on campus that is happening today as well. So it's not always easy to find everything, okay? Now, Microsoft Windows here, they talk about templates. You know, I went through an MCSE class a long time ago, and one of the steps we had to do was go into Microsoft Active Directory and enable security templates. Now, they have templates pre-made, like desktop, workstation. Then there was one called high security server, I think, or high security, whatever it was. So I asked the guy teaching the class, I said, what happens if I apply this the high security domain controller, that's what it was. If I apply this high security domain controller template, he's like, I don't know. It's probably not a good idea. Well, I did it anyway. Well, then I had to reload my machine because it basically broke every little lab we were doing the entire course. Because sometimes, templates are not great for everybody. It's a good idea to look at them, but be careful when applying them. Okay, operating systems have increased in size and complexity, and and the opposite of that, there's a version of Linux. Is it Tiny Linux? It's only 2.88 megabytes in size. There's a version of Linux. I forget the exact name. It's Tiny something. But they talk about how they're increasing in size, yet we have versions of Linux that are teeny tiny. So it's kind of amazing. Okay. It says new attack tools are made secure, functions vulnerable. Okay, there's always new tools. People are breaking into stuff all the time. So whatever we have, it's always changing. It says security patch, software security update to repair discovered vulnerabilities. Now, patches happen all the time. Let's see if they're on this machine. Windows update. Okay, let's see if this machine's updated. I just wanted to look. Aha. So the last, okay, it's not that bad. This machine updates are turned off, but it says most recent check for updates was January 30th, which is not as bad as I expected. And see, I got Windows 10, I think it was in beginning of 2018, or it was either middle of 17 or beginning of 18, they give me 2010 here. Well, we're having issues with my machine, and everybody says it was a known problem that was already fixed. Well, we looked, and it turned out they had disabled my updates, and no updates were ever installed. Again, I don't manage that. That's managed by IT services, but someone had disabled it, kind of like this setting here, you can see. But updates were never ran, so it was just crazy. Okay, it says, updates were installed on July 24th, 2018. I can't believe there hasn't been an update since then. I mean, it's got to be updates since July 2018.
Is it?
What now?
Windows 7 isn't officially supported anymore.
Oh, that's why. Okay, good point. Good point. I didn't even think about that. You're right. This is Windows 7. So I can't believe they're not doing any updates at all anymore. Well, that could be true. I need to check on my desktop because I heard there's an update that some new change, like how we run NetView here. Come on. Well, you should be able to run NetView. I heard it's not supported any longer on the new update of Windows 10. Has anyone heard about that? Someone told me about that.
When I run it, it says there are no entries in this list.
I don't know what's up with this one. I heard the latest update of Windows 10 has been removed or disabled or something. Okay. Now, they talk about Service Pack. They talk about feature updates. I bought, let's see, it was Server 2004, Microsoft Server 2004, and I bought it when it first came out. And it was funny because I started having an issue. I ran an ISP, and I did IP-based hosting, but I also did host name-based hosting. And I had an issue that I couldn't figure out what was happening. What was happening is I would update a website, but it wouldn't update for about 5 minutes. So if I would save a page, the update didn't take for about 5 minutes. And I called Microsoft, and first of all, they thought I stole my operating system because my date was different than theirs. What it was is I bought pre-installed on a Dell server, and Dell actually had the date installed earlier than what Microsoft was expecting. But Microsoft got in my machine remotely and was in it day and night for about 3 months until they finally fixed it. It was funny because they're like, no one that they know of had configured a web server the way I had. But my point was I can. I said it's legitimate. I had a reason for doing it, and I knew how to do it, and it should work. And Microsoft said, you're right, it should work. It's just that no one does that. I'm like, so what? It should work. So they were on there about 3 months, and they finally figured out what the problem was. I don't know exactly what it was, but they made a hotfix for me. And they made this hotfix, and you can probably find reference to it somewhere online. And it was specifically said, this is for Ken Dewey's machine only. It was made just to fix my problem. And then that hotfix would be rolled over into a service pack, for other people. So there are, different versions of this stuff you can get. So service packs we see a lot, updates we see a lot, but hotfixes you don't see very often. Okay. All right, patch distribution. You can have your machines automatically do them, like they say here, automated patch. I was actually talking to William just a little bit ago. There's a software called Chocolatey. I don't know if you ever heard of Chocolatey. Let's find Chocolatey here. Chocolatey. I don't know how to spell it. Patch. So I know I spelled that wrong. Seriously? There it is. Chocolatey. That's the one right there. The patch manager for Windows. It can automatically download and install updates or patches on your machines. And there's a free version and a pro version. The pro version costs $10,000. That's why William was talking to me about buying it. But it's an automated patch download and installation program. So it's kind of a cool option to have. So, I don't know, just something to look into.
Is it really $10,000?
For the pro version, yes. It's really $10,000. Yeah. But, okay, one of the switches in our closet upstairs, network switches, cost $10,000. One switch. So, it's not, it is a lot, but in the big scheme of things, $10,000 is not that much. It really isn't. Especially in enterprise. What do you think we pay for our Cisco license? I bet we pay a lot more than $10,000. So that we do. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got in here. Here's a picture where when you get updates, you can get them directly from Microsoft. Now, what you would normally do is you would have an update, WSUS, Windows Software Update Service. You would have a server that would connect to Microsoft, download all the updates. And then you would approve or non-approve them, that all your machines internally will pull from there, kind of like they're showing here on the bottom, automated patch update 1, automated patch update 2. So years ago, everybody would get their updates straight from Microsoft. But can you imagine if every PC was downloading updates from Microsoft? That's a lot of bandwidth and a lot of updates. So like at Rose State, the updates would be downloaded to a machine over at IT services. And then internally, we would all get them from that machine. So yeah, it saves a lot of bandwidth. Okay. Since patch reception says today, patches are automatically downloaded and installed. Again, not always. Okay. They have forced updates, non-selective updates, most efficient distribution. There's lots of different ways to do it. They just need to be done. Okay. It used to be they were only do once a week, but now it seems like there's updates more and more. And plus, different software has updates. I think Adobe has more updates than anybody. I just try that in Java. Okay. And here's an example of the update options. You can tell it to check for updates, kind of like the screen I was at a minute ago. You can tell it to do it automatically or don't do it automatically, stuff like that. Okay. Other stuff. Anti-malware packages. They talk about how it includes antivirus, anti-spam. Okay. The one built into Windows is called Windows Defender. That, believe it or not, was, okay, remember Security Essentials? You don't remember Security Essentials? Security Essentials was the free one by Microsoft. That was actually based off of a software called Giant Antivirus. The reason I know that is I bought it. When I ran my company, I actually bought a license for Giant. They had the free version, but the one you pay for did more stuff. So I bought Giant, and then it was bought out by Microsoft and given out for free. I was like, oh, man. And it became Security Essentials. So it's just like, what's Microsoft File Share called now? It's like Google Drive. What's the one for Windows?
Outlook.
OneDrive.
There you go. Okay. That years ago was called File Share or Folder Share. I'm sorry. Folder Share was the name. Then it changed names like 27 times. Now it's OneDrive. So, it's just crazy stuff. But antivirus, anti-malware, anti-spam, all those are pretty much rolled into, like Windows Defender now for Windows. Now here, I think we run Forefront. What do we use here at Rose State? Let's look. It says scanning. I don't know why we're scanning. System Center Endpoint Protection. I thought it was Forefront. Okay, so that's the one we're currently using here. So why is it scanning at 5:35 p.m.? Cancel the scan. Okay. Nice. Okay. All right. So kind of important you have some sort of antivirus. And antiviruses are normally signature-based, which means once they know of a virus, then they start looking for it. They don't know about it, they can't look for it. Okay. So it scans new documents, says searches for known virus patterns, again, based upon signatures. Weaknesses, vendor must continually search for new viruses, update and distribute to all users. Again, a new virus it's not going to know about. A new approach to it, heuristic monitoring, where they look for specific pieces of code that virus scanners are known to have. In certain ways they run stuff, and they seem to work better. They say code emulation. Question code is executed in virtual environment. Years ago, I had a travel agent who books a lot of international travel, and she would always get infected because she would book trips and have to research hotels and stuff to do at these locations. So she would always get infected. So I actually set her up with a sandbox, which is similar to a virtual machine, but it was just it was on her PC, but Chrome ran inside of it. And whenever she got infected, she just restarted it and they saved nothing. So it was actually a really cool feature. That's kind of what they're talking about here. They execute it in a virtual environment to determine if it's a virus. Okay. Anti-spam normally works on our email. Again, that's normally signature-based, but you can block things, based on certain words or through certain people. I tell you, Google does a darn good job catching it. And even Rose State, ours here does a pretty good job. Okay. With spam, you can have whitelist and blacklist again. Whitelist means I'm going to accept your email no matter what. Blacklist, I'm not going to accept your stuff. Okay. Does anyone, some of you have AT&T, don't you? Anybody? Anybody?
Well, yeah.
Okay. For your phone service?
Oh,
okay. Does anyone have AT&T for phone service? Someone has to.
I do not.
you have AT&T for your cell phone? Do you have Call Protect installed? AT&T Call Protect? Here, this is what it looks like. It's kind of hard to see there. This is AT&T Call Protect.
Yeah, I have that.
Oh, it's amazing because it blocks so much. Like I got a call this afternoon. It came up and it says on my phone, potential telemarketer, because people had done it. And I answered it anyway just to see.
T-Mobile has
Yeah, mine
Same
says
kind of thing.
likely.
except it'll actually specific. It'll just say scam likely.
Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
And I was looking at mine the other day. Oh, look right here. Okay. Okay, February 19th. There's auto blocked, auto blocked, auto blocked, auto blocked. So I had a lot of calls that were automatically blocked. So I never even seen them anymore. I had one of them. I looked one day and it was like 26 calls in a row, and they got automatically blocked. So yeah, it was a while ago. Man, there's a whole bunch of them on the. Well, this was it. July 11th of last year, there was, how many? Let's see. Holy moly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 calls. Right here. I'll show it online so you can see it. 19 calls or potential fraud were automatically blocked. That's amazing. I mean, that service is great. So if you do not have it, it's free, by the way. I recommend you getting it, okay? But they have the same kind of thing for email. You can block certain people and so on and so forth, okay? All right, let's see where we're at. Anti-spyware pop-up blockers. I'm pretty sure everybody uses the pop-up blocker. Yeah, and the funny thing is people know, these organizations know that we all use pop-up blockers now, so they stop doing pop-ups. So there's still a few out there, but okay. So incorporate within a browser, allows you to block certain things or allow certain things. So kind of handy. Okay, trusted OS. They talk about things like your OS hardening and your trusted OS here. It says tightening security during the design and coding. We can talk more about that here in a second. But you know, they talked about least privilege. Remove all supervisor or administrative accounts. I don't know. Can I see in here? Let's see. User accounts. Let's see if we can see anything in here. Okay, manage user accounts. Okay, wow, we have a lot of accounts on here. Okay, now I don't know, but this guy right here, Roy Baggett, he actually left in January. Probably should no longer have an account on this machine. Okay, William has 2. He has a student one and his regular one, but he still works here. Cyber Patriot, well, we have that one because we do use it sometimes. But we have BIT user, we have an administrator, we have a local admin. So do we really need all those? Probably not. But you know, again, I'm just looking at the one here. Okay, reduce capabilities, significantly restrict what resources can be accessed. Like, do we really need USB? I would say yes, because we have USB keyboards and USB stuff. But do we need to allow flash drives? You know, with Google Drive, do we really need flash drives anymore? Now, is everyone here who uses flash drives still every day? Anybody online use your flash drive every single day? No, I very seldom ever use one.
I mean,
You use yours?
yeah, you still use them, but I would say it's more for convenience sake because
Right.
you always have an internet connection to get to those.
Good point. Like tomorrow morning, I have to actually give 2 presentations tomorrow, but tomorrow morning I have to give a presentation to Mill City Chamber of Commerce. Now, what's the odds the computer they're going to give me to use is going to have internet access? And I don't know. So I'll probably put something on a flash drive. But, you know, I don't use them as much as I used to. Okay. Read-only files says important OS files cannot be changed. That's actually happens already. In kernel, it says remove all unnecessary features of the kernel. I don't think that's ever done, but oh well. Okay, peripheral device security. They start talking about, you know, SD cards, digital cameras, you know, external storage device, multifunctions. Let's talk about some of these. Okay, SD cards. Okay, I use them for my camera, and that's about all I use them for. Okay. And it says we have one that has, it's called iFly. Does that sound familiar to someone? It's an SD card for a digital camera that, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's iFly. It automatically syncs, basically it gives you, the, like it says here, a wireless capability to the SD card. So kind of a cool feature. They have Wi-Fi enabled SD cards that allow you to do stuff remotely, okay? Digital cameras, again, most of us, have cameras on our phones, but, we own a, what the heck's it called? What do they call those cameras, the old time cameras? SLRs? I think that has an SD card built in it and all that other stuff. So, they are, they're still out there. It's just not as popular as they used to be. They talk about the bottom one here. It says protecting data on SD cards can be accomplished with password protection, using encryption, write protecting, all that kind of stuff. We just don't do it a lot of times. External storage. Now we have our USB drives, our secondary hard drives. I have a secondary hard drive in my computer. It's not encrypted. It could. Okay. They talk about crypto malware, how it encrypts everything on your machine until you pay for it, which is a big deal. Okay, so it's a good idea to secure that stuff. Okay, here's some examples: secondary hard drive, network attached storage, cloud storage. Turn off automatic synchronization of files. I understand why they're saying turn it off, but it's a nice feature to have. Okay, what I'm talking about is like I have my Google Drive folder on my desktop here and also on my laptop at home, and everything synchronizes automatically. The reason they say turn that off is, what if I got infected with a virus and the virus detected that drive and automatically synchronized and got everything infected on the other end? So I understand why they say it, but like Tinker, you can't connect to Google Drive whatsoever. Okay. Multifunction devices. Does anyone have a multifunction device? Anybody? Anybody online have them, like the printer, scanner, fax, all that built in?
I have a printer scanner.
Okay.
I have my job.
Your job? Yeah, we have one here at our job too, and I have a one at my house. I swore I would never buy one because I said, you need your printer. That's good for printing, and the scanner is good for. But I own one. I bought a Dell one, man, forever ago, and it still functions. But since it does have a printer, scanner, copier, fax, USB support, it does have the capability of getting corrupted as well or infected. Now, we have one here as well. They say locate them in a secure area, which ours is. Now, there's one sitting over the LRC. Actually, I think there's two over the LRC. Are they secured? I don't think so. So I'm not sure. Okay. Says configure them with security in mind. It was funny because not the one we currently have because we just got a new contract, but the one prior to that, we wanted to change the address book and no one knew what the password was. So we guessed it. Guess what it was? Password, exactly. It was password. Like, seriously? No one even put it on there. Okay. So minimize the risk of paper-based tests by using secure job release. Okay. We're actually looking to get some sort of printing system here for students at Rose State, but we haven't gone there yet. Okay. Computer displays, often considered passive, but this next, or the second bullet, talks about security researchers have demonstrated that threat actors can install something and be able to read what's on your display. People, if they have enough time, they can do anything. It's just crazy. All right, physical security. External perimeter defenses, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of these. Okay, barriers, guards. I'm assuming you've all driven by Tinker before. Okay, if you haven't, it's literally across the street. What amazes me is they're always redoing the darn gates, always adding more security in. The GOT gate, they just redid it. Then within a year, they redid it again. It's like, what the heck? You do it one time. Like a Tinker, there's a barrier when you go through the main gate. There's a barrier right there that I guess they can pop up. I've never seen it go up, but they say it can. They also have guards, motion detection device, and I put a picture here up in a second. See it in a second. But fencing, years ago, it's quite a few years ago now, Tinker Air Force Base has a fence all the way around it. On the south side, over by I-240, I guess there was a large section of fence that was down for years. It was literally just laying down. No one fixed it. Hopefully it's fixed by now. They talk about cage. This is a fenced secure waiting area where people can, be held. Barricades, bollards. Here's a picture of some bollards. Okay. Human security guards are considered active, but again, they are probably the most expensive. Video surveillance and motion detection. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture. Okay, this is actually a live, well, it was live. This is a screenshot of a live video feed at 4:51 today. Now, this is using a Nest outdoor cam. This is my backyard. You see I got electric fence around my sod. My puppies decided to eat the sod, so I wasn't happy with them. But what I did was I set up some zones. First of all, there's a person. So it detects people, it detects motion on the patio, detects motion on this sidewalk, it also detects motion on the other sidewalk. And when it sees motion, you can see down here at the bottom of the screen, it puts the different colors. So obviously, you can see on the picture here, there was a person walking, that person went across the patio, across this sidewalk, onto that sidewalk. That's why I hit all four of them. But I'll tell you, this thing, we love it. Funny story. My mother-in-law is living with me. And there's a lot of mother-in-law jokes out there. But my mother-in-law was getting really sick. We didn't know why. I mean, she was getting sick, puking all the time, and we didn't know what was going on with her. Now, she stays at home a lot by herself. So we literally made an appointment for the doctor for a Monday. Well, that Friday before then, my wife went on a trip to Texas with her. And all the way down to Texas, she was getting sick. For Friday and Saturday while she was there, she was sick. Well, what it was, we have a liquor cabinet or a liquor shelf in my house. She was literally taking bottles of alcohol and just pouring them into big, huge cups and just downing it. She would drink 100 proof Rupple mints, like by the glass full. This lady was toasted her whole time. So I'll tell you, once we found that out, she stopped. We had her stop doing that because she can't get the alcohol anymore, and she hasn't got sick. But we had a camera that detected movement in the air, but we don't always check the cameras. But thank God, once we finally figured out what the heck was going on, I checked the camera. Sure enough, she was in there every day. She was just getting, it was crazy. It was crazy stuff. And my dog, I told you my dog got sick this last weekend. He ate Gorilla Glue, and by using the cameras, because we got a camera in the living room where the dogs are, what he did is he jumped on the love seat and got some of the Gorilla Glue on the seat, which will never come off. We didn't know it was Gorilla Glue at the time. But we were able to track the different cameras through the garage and outside and found out where he was, and we actually found the container of Gorilla Glue. So, I don't know. I like cameras. They're fun. I do not have any in bedrooms. I do not have any in bathrooms. I don't have any in any personal spaces. But with puppies and everything, kind of important. Okay. So now let's talk about internal stuff. Door locks, access logs, man traps. Okay, door locks. We all know what a door lock is. Okay. If you store credit cards, you have to have at least 2 locks between the outside world and where they're stored at. Deadbolt locks, we know what those are. There's also cipher locks that require codes. Okay, put the numbers in a certain sequence, like we have a couple of in this building here. Okay, there's a picture of a cipher lock on the bottom, regular door locks, and the one on the right, well, it's kind of close to what my office looks like, but not exact. But okay, key management is to keep track of keys issued and require users to sign for them. So what do you think happens if you lose a master key? What should you do? Anybody? What?
Change the lock.
Change the lock, whoever said that. If you lose a master key, you should at least rekey your locks. Because if someone has a master key now, I tell you, I've been here full-time since 2000. What's that, 19 years now. That I know of, they've changed the keys one time. That was about 4 years ago. How many keys do you think were lost in the last 19 years? Someone in my building lost one 2 weeks ago, a master key. So obviously we're not as, sensitive as like a military base or something. But if you lose a key, you should rekey the lock, okay? I tell you, when I lived on base for a few years, and we never locked our doors. I mean, you're behind gates, you got guards, so why? And it was funny because when I went to move off base, I had to pay $15. I had to pay, what was it, $5 for each key that was missing because I had no keys. I lost them all, and we didn't use them. So it's not that I lost them; we didn't use them. So I don't know where they were, but because I felt more secure there. But at the bottom one there it says change locks immediately upon loss or theft of keys.